Northwest Indiana in its heyday was one of the industrial centers of America, producing massive volumes of steel and other industrial products that would be shipped via Lake Michigan to many parts of the nation. Cities such as Gary and East Chicago were at the forefront of this prosperity. Sadly, as time and technology moved on, Northwest Indiana would lose much of its importance as an industrial center, leading to its title as a Rust Belt city. Complete with high crime, unemployment, decaying infrastructure, and a low literacy rate among residents. This decay is threatening many of the historical sites that exist in the area. One such site is the Palace Theater in Gary. Opening in 1925, the theater was a crown jewel of prosperous Gary, considered the grandest venue in town. Sadly, as with much of the steel mills, the Palace had to close down in 1972. Since then, the Palace Theater has become a symbol of urban decay, so much in fact that it was featured in the History Channel original series, Life After People, a show that speculates what would become of many of the structures we have created if mankind was not there to maintain them. The Palace was used as an example of 30 years of neglect. Since then, it has had several attempted rebirths, attempted by private groups, but to no avail. Even though vandalism and decay have taken its toll, one can still sense the former beauty that was once here. The combination of Moorish and Italian architecture can still be seen in its design, the hand-painted plaster ornamentation that can be seen on many of the walls. And amazingly, the nearly intact painted fresco of an Italian city on the stage give a hint of the glories of the structure built in 1925. It still stands to this day, waiting to be restored to its former glory. The Palace Theater is but one example of the deterioration that plagues many of the historical structures that exist in the region. Another with a history that is just as fascinating is the House of Tomorrow, located on Indiana's Beverly Shores. Built for the 1933 Chicago World's Fair, the house displayed the many technological advances that many thought would be the future of home design. It had many distinguishable features, notably its dodecagonal shape, glass siding, and inclusion of an airplane hangar, because of course everyone would have an airplane in the future. This house would also include innovative features such as a built-in air conditioning system, something unheard of in 1933. Following the end of the World's Fair, the House of Tomorrow, along with many other houses displayed, were sold to a real estate developer who had the houses floated across Lake Michigan on barges in order to create a new subdivision along the Beverly Shore. Sadly, the plan fell through, but not until after the houses were placed in the locations they exist today. Though many of the World's Fair homes have been restored to their former glory, the House of Tomorrow was not included in that restoration. Due to the high cost of restoring the building, it has sat neglected, slowly deteriorating from the brutal Great Lakes weather. The question that pops up now is that even in these states of extreme disrepair, can these structures be saved? The answer is yes. A sterling example of how historical sites can be saved is seen in the restoration of the West Baden Springs Hotel in French Lick, Indiana. Built in 1902, the hotel with its massive dome ceiling was considered the eighth wonder of the world after its construction. Sadly, the hotel would exchange hands many times until it was left in a state of extreme disrepair. Indiana Landmarks, the state's largest historical restoration society, led the charge to save the beleaguered building. With the help of the state, as well as donations and private investors, the hotel will be restored to its former glory. Today, the magnificent hotel is open for business, giving guests all the modern amenities you'd expect with a nostalgic touch that is difficult to find today. Just as the West Baden Springs Hotel was brought back from the brink of destruction, the Palace Theater, House of Tomorrow, as well as many other historical sites across northwest Indiana can be saved if we not only donate money to state preservation societies such as Indiana Landmarks, but also make sure that government officials who run our states are informed that people of northwest Indiana want to save these sites. They are an important part of our history and they must be protected. In truth, northwest Indiana has gone through many difficulties, and that is reflected in the many towns and cities that exist in the region. One who travels through Gary or East Chicago can feel a sort of melancholy, realizing that there was once something great here. Although we cannot replicate the past, we can save fragments of it, and these fragments will build confidence and hope among those who want to see northwest Indiana become once again great.